What's going on, everybody? We're back. It's been a few weeks since a real live stream. So we did the little half-ass live stream while I was down in Ohio, which was literally just long enough for me to announce the winners of the giveaway. But yeah, this is the first live stream in a couple weeks. It's good to be back. Good to see you guys. Look at the comments. This is awesome. So we're starting. I thought for sure it was going to be dead tonight because we haven't done one, and here we've already got 20 something people in the chat. Like, this is awesome. So Andrew, you were first. Nailed it, buddy. We got Ryan. I think it's Ryan, isn't it? Heavy Equipment Operator 97. What's going on? I'm glad that you're loving Sweat and Grime. The reason I'm able to respond so quick is because I read your comments while I'm getting ready to fire up here. So I love that you're loving Sweat and Grime. If you guys don't listen to Sweat and Grime, absolutely go over to any podcasting platform. Check it out. We have a great time with it. We have a really, like, if you've liked it so far, next week's episode we have it's actually a local guy here that has a YouTube series called The Dock Man. It is Water's Edge Dock and Hoist, and yeah, Water's Edge Dock and Hoist, and awesome interview. We had such a great time with those guys. So stay tuned on that one. That drops on Tuesday. Jackson, what's going on? Jonathan, what's going on? Which, Jonathan, your swag is on the way. All of you guys who ordered or didn't order swag, but you won swag, and including Jackson, all of your stuff is on the way. Take a look within the next week. I would say 4 to 8 days, depending on shipping, because some of you guys are in Canada. Keep an eye out, because that is all headed your way. So good to see you guys. Ryan Garrett, what's going on? Glad that you were finally able to start the new job. Let us know how you like it. It has been disgusting weather. It has really been disgusting weather. I'll get into my trip to Ohio here in just a second once I catch up on saying hi to everybody. We got Shane, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. AP, what's going on, brother? Good to have you in here. If you guys aren't familiar, AP is from the UK, right? Did I get that right? England, UK. This is where I'm a dumb American. I'm ignorant, and I don't know the difference between the UK and Britain and all of that. I know there's politics involved, but I'm not smart enough to know what the politics are. But anyway, you're across the pond, as you will. Good to see you, man. Two Strokes for Life, what's happening, man? I haven't seen you in here. Good to see you. Let's see here. Darren, what's the good word, my man? Good to see you. Not bad. Just have jobs lined up waiting. You know, that's always good to have jobs waiting on you, Shane. Ryan Pearson, what's happening? eFix, what's going on? Mr. Merrick. Okay, so here we go. There's my perfect segue. Merrick is in here. So the first thing I want to talk about is hospitality. So we show up to the hotel. I took Isaac with me, my videographer. If you guys aren't familiar with Isaac, I took Isaac with me to break him in on running an off-road truck. He's never run a piece of heavy equipment before, so you know how this industry is. We start him off in the off-road truck. And so we popped his construction cherry this last week, and he had a good time. It was a little stressful, and we did really break him in proper because he got very, very close to tipping the back end of his rock truck over. No need to be ashamed of that. Everybody does it. I've been in that situation probably 4 or 5 times myself with haul trucks, so it's just part of learning. But we got him puckered up pretty good, so it was a good time. But anyway, Isaac and I show up to our hotel room, and waiting for us in the room is a gift bag with chips, energy drinks, including the White Monster. Brandon Culpepper, I see you in the chat. Thank you for turning me on to White Monster, brother. So they had White Monster for us. They had that Alani new energy drink that one of you guys had actually recommended I try, and so they had Alani new in there. What else? They had beef jerky. They had Slim Jim sticks in there. And then the creme de la creme, if you will, he had a freaking bottle of whiskey for me waiting. So to Merrick, and really, let's give full credit, I did find out later that it wasn't Merrick who pulled this off. It was Merrick's lovely wife. Thank you guys so much. We had an absolute blast down in Ohio. So I'm going to take a quick drink of my whiskey. Thank you guys so much. And now that we've talked about hospitality, let's talk about the actual trip. The actual trip to Ohio, because we're going on. Yeah, so I haven't talked to you guys since I've been back from Ohio. So we're going on 2 weeks now. So Ohio was an absolute riot. We had a blast, as I fully expected. In fact, I'm even rocking the Built Right shirt. That was my work uniform when I was down there working with the Built Right guys. What a nuts project, absolutely nuts. So it was a home. I'm not even going to try to place a value on the home. In fact, I'm not going to talk about values at all. I think that would probably be better not to talk about values. Really expensive home. About 200-ish yards away is a really expensive barn for horses. That should be an indicator right there, horses. And so they wanted to attach the two buildings with a tunnel. And off of the tunnel, they were going to have a wine cellar, a 2-lane bowling alley with a little arcade, a storage closet, a utility room. Am I missing something, Merrick? Tell me if I'm missing something. But there was like 5 separate rooms that were dug off of the main tunnel that's connecting the two buildings. And then once you get into the barn, there's an elevator that takes you up into the barn. Nuts project. I mean, like, you'll never experience a project like that in your life. And so I'm super humbled, super grateful that Wayne and Merrick invited Isaac and I down to participate in that project. And it even gets a step cooler than that. So we worked on that. It was the main tunnel. They were adding an extension to the driveway to reroute the driveway, because where a lot of the material was going out of the dig was down to a pond dam. They're putting in, I don't know, probably a 3-ish acre pond, if I had to guess. I'm not very good at it. So theater, oh, that's right, the theater room. Can't forget the theater room. 6,500 square feet, all underground. It's freaking nuts. Stage seating, like the elevated seating. It's just, what an awesome project. So as if that wasn't cool enough that we were doing all of that, in the middle of our dig, you'll notice there's a new addition back here. In the middle of our dig, we hit coal. Like, legit, we're in Ohio. This is coal straight out of the ground. I just thought this was like the coolest thing ever. This is, by the way, I have not washed this at all. This is straight out of the ground. This is actually some dirt from the actual project right here. How freaking cool is that? Like, I was totally psyched. I know for the guys in Ohio that this is a relatively common occurrence, but like, we're digging away in this thing and all of a sudden we hit a coal seam and we're popping coal right out of the ground. So really freaking cool. So awesome project. Had a great time with those guys. So that's how we spent the week before last. Sorry, now I've got coal dust all over myself. Anyway, that's how we spent the week before last. This week, I know I have been totally radio silent for the most part. Well, you guys have seen me posting on social media, which a lot of it's scheduled and a lot of it's my wife or Matt on the Sweat and Grime channel. Merrick, I actually took three pieces of coal home with me. I'm really thinking about making some cool little mounts for them, and I'll send you and Wayne a chunk of that coal, kind of just as a keepsake and a remembrance of the project. So don't rush me on that project, because fair warning, with everything I got going on my plate, it's going to be a while. But that's my goal, is I would like to kind of somehow encapsulate that coal or create a little mount for it and talk about the tunnel project. But anyway, yeah, that's a really significant thing to me, to have that piece of coal back there, because of the project and because of how unique that was in working with you guys. So yeah, I wasn't gonna let that coal go without me getting a piece. So anyway, we got back from Ohio. The reason I have kind of been radio silent and responding super slow is because WhoDig sent one of their freaking amazing machines up here for us to review, and we have it through the 9th. So I've been kind of mad dash scrambling, because as is mentioned in the comments already, with all of the weather that we've been dealing with up here in the north, I've been scrambling to find projects to keep this WhoDig on, so that we can test it in a variety of situations. And so that's where I've been this whole week, is running the WhoDig or arranging transportation for the WhoDig. This week we've got it on a residential job, doing a landscaping, like retaining wall type cut. We're not building a retaining wall, but we're doing the initial cut in for it. I'm going to be possibly doing some drain tile work with it. And then for the last half of the week, we're actually going to take it out with Van Gordon Land Solutions. If you guys know them from our Sweat and Grime podcast, we're going to take it out to one of their sites. I'm going to work with Justin and Dylan on one of their job sites with the WhoDig, basically running logs all over the job site, popping out some stumps, doing some unique stuff there. So that's where we've been for the last 2 weeks. It's been nutty. I feel like I'm drowning with all of the responsibilities I'm trying to keep up on, because I'm also juggling dirt interviews and Sweat and Grime podcast recordings and Dealer Lowdown podcast recordings. So it's been nuts, but it's been a lot of fun. So that is where we're at. So before I go any further, I'm going to circle back. I'm going to start catching up on the comments, because you guys are clipping up a storm here and I'm going to get overwhelmed. So we've got Ryan Pearson, I think I caught. Efix, I definitely caught. Merrick, I will tell you all about the WhoDig here in just a minute once I get caught up. We got Raimundo Gutierrez. What's going on, Raimundo? I believe I've seen you in here a fair amount before. Let's see here. Brandon, what's happening, my man? Raimundo, I don't know of any equipment operator schools near Houston, but I will say this: don't worry about it. Don't go to a school, just go learn on the job. You'll be significantly faster and you'll get paid for the education you would have paid for in the school. So I would really encourage you, just hire an contractor. Ryan, spent Wednesday through Friday moving and spreading topsoil on a skid steer. Definitely missed my cousin's new Kubota skid steer when I was in the John Deere, but so far really enjoyed it. Nobody's yelled at me, so I guess I can't be doing bad. If you're not getting yelled at, oh, look at that. I was right on Heavy Equipment Operator 97. It is Ryan, son of a bitch. And he just made my life easier because he actually named it Ryan. So very good. But Ryan, official Ryan Garrett, glad. And yes, if you're not getting yelled at, that means you're doing your job well. So, and I will say this, I don't have a ton of seat time in the Kubotas, but I do have Taylor down there in Ohio, Abraham Drainage. He's got a Deere 333G. I was pretty impressed with that machine. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not typically super complimentary of Deere just because they're so expensive for their equipment, but I thoroughly enjoyed that 333. That was a nice machine. Let's see here. AP. All right, here we go. This is the education on England, UK, all of that. UK is a combination of England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. England is just England by itself, if you get what I mean. Okay, so there it is, guys. For all of us dumb Americans, England is England proper. UK, which is the United Kingdom, which makes sense that it's multiple countries, is England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. All right, AP, thank you for the lesson. As an ignorant American, I actually do truly appreciate that. I'm trying to educate myself and broaden my horizons. Efix, just picked up my new 2022 580 Super N last Wednesday. Man, I don't know what the hype is around pilot controls, but there is zero feedback. I guess I'm an old dog now. Next machine will be a 4-stick. So Efix, I'll tell you this, there is absolutely a learning curve to the EH controls. Because you don't get that feedback that you used to. And I'm trying to think now. I want to say in those new 580 Super Ns, it's actually, I don't even know if it's technically pilot controls, because pilot means you have a pilot hydraulic system going to the controls. I don't think you have pilot hydraulics going to those controls. I'm pretty sure they're all EH. And so I will say this, there is a learning curve. Anytime you go to an all EH machine, there's a learning curve, because you no longer get the feedback that you're used to in your controls. You do figure out how to get that feedback from other areas of the machine. I would highly encourage you give it like 3 or 4 weeks, and you're going to be humming along again like you were, and you're just going to be getting that feeling from your ass more than you are from your fingertips like you used to. When I made the switch from a Komatsu wheel loader over to the Cat 938, I did the exact same thing. I did not like the Cat one bit for the first like 3 weeks I was in it. I missed having that feedback in my hands. But eventually you get that feedback from other places and you kind of learn to roll with it. So let's see here, Jackson, are off-road trucks automatic? Yes, sir, they absolutely are. You do have the ability, like in an automatic transmission, you can limit the gear that they go up to. You can manually shift if you want to, but it is not a stick. It is an automatic transmission. Ryan Pearson, what's your take on staking before stripping topsoil? Had a foreman this week who wanted a turn lane completely staked before it was stripped. That was a stupid way to... Yeah, I'm sorry, but if you're staking before you strip topsoil, I understand if from a timeline standpoint you have to do that. Sometimes there's no way to avoid it. But if he intentionally called the staking in before the topsoil was stripped, That makes no sense to me. That's a total waste of money. Absolute waste of money. Andrew, they should have put a shooting range down there. I mean, if you're building a tunnel with a lot of ridiculous things already, yeah, why not? Why not put the shooting range down there? Let's see here. Where are we? Where are we? Jackson. Yes, it is nice that they're automatic instead of stick shift, Jackson. I would hate to try to shift one of those monster transmissions. I already hit Merrick's comment. Let's see here, Ryan. Also, just checking, are you in live chat or top chat? Thank you, Ryan. Son of a bitch. Every time. If I ignored your comment, I apologize. I'm not being an ass. I just keep forgetting to switch over to live chat. And now chat is totally screwing. Oh, I know why. I've got a video rendering in the background on my computer, and it's really running slow this evening. Hang tight, hang tight. So we are officially in live chat. I apologize if I skipped your comment. Ryan has saved the day and caught the fact that I was not. AP, spent a couple of hours. Ooh, my chat is running away from me. Spent a couple of hours on a Hitachi Z-Axis 130 on Saturday shift, which was nice. I hardly get time in those machines. So interesting you mentioned that. I'm actually flying to Georgia on the 19th of May, so in about 2-ish weeks, to run the new Z-Axis 210 that Hitachi just released. And for the explicit reason of doing, pardon me, for the explicit reason of doing a review for The Dirt, the show that I host for Randall Riley. While I'm down there, I'm also going to get some additional footage for Diesel and Iron. Because of agreements that I have with Equipment World or with Randall Riley, I won't be doing an actual review video or review videos, or sorry, I won't be doing a review video or YouTube videos on my Diesel and Iron channel. I have some agreements with them that I'm not going to double post content, but I will do some social media stuff and get you guys maybe some, quick 30-second videos of in-cab tour, maybe some operating. We'll do some clips and social media stuff for that for sure. But I'm excited about that. I haven't really run a Hitachi machine before, so I'm really excited to get some seat time. And it's supposedly going to be on an actual job site where I can run it. Camille, it's been a long time, my man. Good to see you. Very good to see you. Shane, I like trying to find some kind of unique rock that will remind us of the job. I'm all about it. Like, it's these small little trinkets that, forever that piece of coal is going to represent this ridiculously enormous dig that we did, going down, spending time with Wayne and Merrick and their guys, getting Isaac in a rock truck for the first time and kind of coaching him through that as he learned the ropes. Like that piece of coal right there represents a lot more than just a piece of coal. So I'm the same way. I've got that sentimentality to me. Brian, what do you think of all the lawn renovations we've been doing? So Jackson has been sending me a ton of pictures. We haven't been sending them out on social media just so we don't flood social media with one person's pictures. But Jackson's been sending me a lot of pictures of Busy Bee, Busy Bee Landscape or Busy Bee Lawn Care. They've been doing a lot of lawn restorations, and it's really nice work. You guys are doing awesome work, Jackson. You should absolutely be proud of that. They're doing fantastic stuff. They basically come into these yards that look like utter garbage. You've got grass that looks like the top of my head here. And so what they're doing is they come in, they throw down some topsoil, they level it, and then they throw down seed, and so that you're kind of renovating the lawn, and it looks really nice. So Brandon has got some great news. I'm gonna let Brandon share his great news because I'm not gonna out it for him, but Brandon has had a pretty busy couple of weeks, and we should all give Brandon a nice round of applause. So Brandon, go ahead and drop that in the comments, what you got going on, brother. Let's see here. Sophisticat, what's happening? I don't know that I've seen you in here before, but thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Jackson, that was a nice little zinger, Jackson. I do appreciate that. But Brandon, of all of us, I don't think is the one that has been holding out on his virginity. It's maybe he lost his virginity to another man is maybe where I would go with Brandon on that one. So Andrew, the 333 is hands down his favorite skid. I'm gonna be honest. Like I said, I have been. you know, Deere equipment isn't terrible. It's not bad. It's good equipment. But the big thing for me is their price point. They're just super, super proud of it, and it's really expensive equipment. And that 333G is one of the first ones I got in and went, okay, I'd pay a little extra for this. It was a really smooth ride. It had tons of power. While visibility was a little lacking, those boom arms are built like a tank. Like, I cannot see you destroying that machine outside of just outright abuse. Like, it is built solid. So I was very impressed with them. Ryan, I've been in a 329E with 2100 hours, so the pins are loose, but I missed the overhead door and the visibility is cut in half out the back. Yeah, so visibility is definitely a lot poorer in the 333 or the 329. So let's see here. I have 2 blood kids. That happened 16 years ago. He's 32. We're getting into whether or not Brandon has lost his virginity. I'm not really gonna get too caught up in that conversation. Ryan, and the cutting edge is angled up, so cutting grade is difficult. Can't see the cutting edge. Less than ideal starting point. Well, it happens. Daniel Mathewson, first of all, I don't know that I've seen you in here. Welcome to the live stream. And secondly, as a former K salesman, I will tell you, the 4-stick is actually the default configuration from the factory. It's kind of a little bit of a nostalgic hangover, or holdover, I guess is the real term there. But when you go through the factory price book, or when you order a new 580 Super N online, it comes default with the 4-stick configuration. So you absolutely can see, you can buy 4 sticks. We still, I would say probably 3 to 5 times a year, we would get a brand new 4-stick machine into the dealership, because we have a lot of old timers that still love that 4-stick. They don't want to switch, and by God, they want a 4-stick backhoe. And so you do see those still. They still make them. You can still order them, but they are becoming more of a specialty thing. I would say probably 90% of them now are coming with the pilot controls in the back. Andrew, I've only run 3 dozers, 1 with electronic fancy controls and 2 with very similar controls but not electronic or fancy. Please explain what the fuck. Oh, I said it on the live stream. I've got to check myself. Explain what TF pilot controls are. Okay, that's a good question, because for the longest time I didn't understand this. So there is pilot controls, which is where you have a set of, you can call them almost auxiliary hydraulics. It's a different set of hydraulics than the main hydraulics that control the machine, and they are lower pressure than the main hydraulics. And you have physical hydraulic lines coming up to the bottom of your joystick, and your joystick controls a series of valves that controls flow through those small pilot lines. Those small pilot lines at the other end in the back of the machine on a dozer, for instance, are controlling your dozer blade. So they're actually operating the valves that control the hydraulics that control the dozer blade. So through a pilot hydraulic system, you are controlling the valves that control the hydraulics of the blade. Or in an excavator, you are hydraulically controlling the valves in the back that are controlling the hydraulics of the machine. In an EH system, electric over hydraulic, I no longer have hydraulic oil anywhere in the cab, which, by the way, a quick idea of whether, or a quick way to gauge whether or not you have a true pilot system is because you have hydraulic oil coming up to your joysticks. If you put your hands down underneath where the joysticks connect up, anywhere along that pillar or the armrest or wherever, you should be able to feel heat coming out of there, because hydraulics generate heat. If there's not any heat, more than likely it's a true EH system. And an EH system, you've totally taken hydraulics out of the equation. You now have a sensor at the bottom of your joystick, and it is continuously reading inputs as to the position of your joystick, sending those electronically back to the solenoids that control your valves for your hydraulics. And that's why the big complaint with operators with EH controls is you don't get the feedback in your hands like you used to. Because if you can imagine, if I go into a pile with my dozer blade, you're going to have resistance on that blade, which means there's going to be a higher pressure backup on the hydraulic system that's moving the blade. When I'm using pilot controls, you now have more resistance hydraulically in your pilot system that's trying to manipulate that valve. So in your hand, this is how so many old school operators operate. you're operating by the feel in your hand, or if it's a joystick, both hands. You can feel when you meet resistance in your hands because there is hydraulic resistance in that pilot system. But with EH controls, you no longer have that physical link to the blade like you used to, or to the bucket. Now it's all electronic, talking to a solenoid in the back of the machine. And so you have to get that feedback from other areas in the machine. And most of the time you get it by your seat, because when you come into contact, a lot of times where we use that feedback is knowing that, you know, when we start to encounter pressure on the dig, or when we start to encounter a little bit of pressure on the blade, what you learn is you can get that feedback from the vibrations in your seat. So a loader is a prime example. When I was running the Komatsu, as soon as I would come into contact with the ground with my cutting edge, I could feel that in my hand. You would feel a little pressure shock in your hand, and you'd feel a little jiggle. You start to get that from your seat, because now you're starting to, your brain is starting to pick up the vibrations when your cutting edge comes into contact with the ground. And so you stop relying on your hand and you start relying on your butt more, and your arms on the armrest. You're feeling the machine, and that's where you start to get the feedback. So that's why most old school operators, when you switch over to EH controls, they absolutely hate it. You lose all of that feedback that, for a lot of these guys, you're talking 20 plus years of experience, that's where they get their feedback, is in their hands. And now you're totally doing away with that, and understandably guys hate it. But like I said, if you give it 3, 4, 5 weeks, you get that feedback from other areas in the machine, and it's not so bad on you. So there you go. There's a quick down and dirty on EH controls versus pilot controls. Let's see here. Broke the windshield in our case skid steer this last week. What a headache. Luckily the glass is cheaper than I thought, like 350 bucks. That shocks me that the glass was only 350 bucks, because I want to say one of those doors is like 700. They're spendy. And if you get the man, I want to say the demo door is like 1200. It's spendy. Ryan, someone has just broken the glass out of the skid steer I'm in, because the first thing the float driver said was put the booms all the way down before opening the door. Yeah, that's a fairly common occurrence on those skid steers, where the boom arms will move when the doors open. We regularly at the dealership, when I was selling case, had to replace doors because guys would smash them. Busy Bee Lawn Service, that's what it was. Thank you, Jackson. Andrew, are you really an operator if you don't have a sentimental piece of coal? Great point, Andrew. Great point. You know, really, what qualifies you to become an operator? And I would agree. I think that chunk of coal back there really, I think I can finally call myself an operator after all these years. So AP, we dug out a fair amount of material, so I jumped in the Dachi 130 just to tidy up, chuck the muck to the stockpile. Are you getting to drive the 210-7, the new range? Yes, sir. The brand spanking new machine. So they're going to do a walk around with me on their 2 smaller units. They came out with 2 minis that are in the 7 series, I believe. And then I actually get to take the 210-7 out and run it on the job site. So I'm expecting I'm going to get a couple hours, you know, in and around that machine with their product expert there, kind of explaining all of the new features and everything. And then I'm getting seat time. The whole reason I'm flying down there is specifically to operate that on a job site. So Brandon, my news is I got accepted into an apprenticeship for heavy equipment. I'm in the program for 27 months before I become a journeyman. This company is crediting me with 1,000 hours for my knowledge at the job now. Everyone, beautiful round of applause for Brandon Culpepper, who managed to get that apprenticeship while interviewing in fishnets and his pink thong. I think that by itself is a man, that's a hurdle that's worthy of applause all in its own. I mean, congratulations, sir. Not many people can pull that off. So let's see here. But yeah, awesome. Like, legitimately, Brandon, congratulations. I know you and I have gone back and forth via text message, but here's my face when I tell you, legitimately, congratulations. I'm excited for you, man. I know you've been wanting to get into heavy equipment for a long time now. I'm super stoked for you that you were able to do it. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Let's see here. Brian swore time to Brian. Yeah, exactly. I have to put myself in a timeout. You're exactly right, Brandon. Except I don't know how I can do that and the live stream carry on. So here we go. Rex Sherburne. I have not seen you here in a while. Good to see you, my man. Ryan Wagner, congratulations. Absolutely. Daniel, can you get a 4-stick backhoe of other brand than just Case? That's a good question. I don't know what the other manufacturers do because Case has traditionally been the 4-stick manufacturer. I want to say I've seen Deere with a 4-stick, but it might not be a true 4-stick. I don't know if Case has some sort of a patent on that to where other manufacturers can't do it. I'm not sure. That's a great question. Anyone else, feel free to answer that one. And by the way, pick it up in the comments, guys. I just noticed I am about to catch you guys, and that's pretty sad because it's only 8 o'clock. We've got to draw this out for another hour, okay? Ooh, love that whiskey. All right, let's see here. And I'll be at 100% pay. Good for you. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back to Ryan's comment. I finally got a hold of the union rep, so that's sorted out now. Basically, I'll work for 500 hours, and if my company is happy with me, then I'll be signed directly into the union, pay the $1,000 fee, and be 100%. So that is exactly the route I encourage all of you guys to go down. So what Ryan is saying, and by the way, congratulations, Ryan. That's awesome. That is exactly what I wanted for you. So what happens is, if you can get into a union company, even though you're not in the union, and you have experience enough that you can show you know what you're doing. You don't have to be a 100% expert like you've been doing this forever. But if you can show that you understand how to run the equipment, you understand the dynamics of a job site, you can actually bypass the apprenticeship program. You can get signed in as a 100% journeyman, even though you've only been in the industry for a couple years. Again, this is totally dependent upon you and your learning curve and how proactive you are. But you can skip the apprenticeship. That's a 4-year program, and within a year or two you can get into a union company and you can get signed on as a full journeyman. That is awesome, Ryan. I'm super stoked that that was a good doorway for you to get into this, because that is there's no reason you should have to go through the apprenticeship if you already know what you're doing. So very exciting. Let's see here. 2 strokes for life. My instructor taught us to feel what the machine is doing instead of relying on what you can see. I tell you, that is so many things. In fact, so Isaac was, like I mentioned, this was his first time running an off-road dump truck. And if you guys aren't familiar, if you've never sat in an articulated dump truck before, common misconception, even for beginning machines like the articulated dump truck, everyone thinks you can see everything. And Isaac very quickly realized you can't see shit. You can't. Like, there's just, the machines are too big, you're angling all over, so even if you have your mirrors set up perfectly, you're still angling the cab in a way that a lot of times you're backing in blind. And so a lot of it comes down to knowing the machine, and that machine becoming an extension of you, so that you know roughly where my ass end is pointed, so I can start smoothing and coming back out of the turn in time that I'm going to be lined up on the hoe. It's that way with dozers. You can't see anything but the back side of your blade. You have no idea what's going on the front side of your blade. Loader. I've never seen my cutting edge in a loader. With the exception of when I tilt my bucket all the way up and back drag, you don't ever see your cutting edge. It's totally by feel. Backhoes, the same way. Excavators, good luck figuring out where you're at in relation to grade if you're going off of the visual of your cutting edge. Because within 6 inches to a foot of your cut, your cutting edge is totally covered over in dirt. You can only see it on the backside of the bucket, which you can't see. Every piece of equipment is probably 60 to 80% feel. And that's what a lot of people new to the industry don't understand. They think we've just got, you know, the cabs all have glass all the way around, so surely you must be able to see everything. That was one of the biggest eye-openers to me when I started hiring in this industry, was you can't see shit. It's all done by feel and by knowledge of the machine, and the machines really do become an extension of yourself. This prime example is this past week with the WhoDig. So one of my only complaints about the WhoDig, and I'm going to talk about this in the review that's going to come out, but on loaders and backhoes and everything, generally towards the top of the bucket, you have kind of this flat shelf that is parallel to the cutting edge. And that's your visual reference as to where your bucket is in relation to the grade, as far as where you're tipping. On the WhoDig, it's about halfway down on the bucket, which means that when you have the bucket actually in contact with the ground, you can't see that at all. You have no visual reference of when the bucket is level. And so with the WhoDig this past week, I have been learning to operate that 100% by feel. And it is, in so many ways, the WhoDig is like learning a machine from scratch again. It's like learning how to operate like it's my first day. But this is another example of that. On the WhoDig in particular, you can't see that cutting edge and you have no visual reference as to where you're angled and pitching in relation to grade. So you're doing it totally by feel and by responding to, if you've ever run a backhoe or a loader, most guys are going to be familiar that once you start to get material in the bucket, you can actually feel the weight on the machine start to shift. And that's kind of where you get that feel to where you need to angle the bucket up or down and adjust. And over the last 2 days, we've had the machine for a week. Over the last 2 days, I'm just starting to get where my butt tells me when I've got that bucket loading versus I'm digging level or I'm pitching up too high. So yeah, I mean, that's operating. It's so much of operating is feel. So all right, good job. Good job, everyone. We're filling up the comments. That's what I like to see. All right, let me back up here so I can get back to where I left off. Okay, there it is. Ryan, I think the 329 has the H controls because I can push the button to switch between ISO, H, or foot controls. That's another good way to figure out whether you're operating pilot controls or not, is exactly that. If you can switch them with a little switch in the cab, most of the time that is EH. When you have pilot controls, that's like most of your big excavators, you have to get out of the cab and you have to physically turn a valve, and that's why you're turning a valve. You are physically changing the direction of hydraulic oil in that valve to go to your different joysticks. So let's see here. AP, if I said I wasn't jealous of you driving the new Hitachi, I'd be lying. I'd be there wearing my Hitachi hat. I'm excited, man. Like I said, I don't have any seat time in a Hitachi, so I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a good time. But then I get to do this mad dash to the airport because my flight leaves that evening and it's in Atlanta, and I'm about an hour from Atlanta. So I have to run the machine in the morning, mad dash to the airport, flip the rental car, get on my flight in time to come home. It's gonna be a fun day. Dirty Dan, what's going on, my man? It's been a while. It's good to see ya. Let's see here. Andrew, Brandon is going to look so sexy in a D11 with an Anaconda in the cab with him. Absolutely, absolutely. Rex, I think I saw a Cat 420D parts book and it said it had a 4-stick option. It wouldn't surprise me if you can get that in other brands. Excuse me, pardon me. Delicious. All right, Jonathan, how do you like land clearing? I love land clearing. It's you know, as a traditional excavator guy, dirt guy, land clearing is fun. First of all, you get to play with chainsaws, which is always a blast. Then you add on the fact that you get to play with tree shears. That's badass. Then you get to throw on the FAE. Yes, I'm pitching FAE because I will tell you this. We've been reviewing. I know I haven't been really pitching it out on social media over the last week or so since we've had the WhoDig, but we've been in possession of the FAE mulching head for what, 2, almost 3 weeks now, and easily 50% more production out of that head. And the material that head spits out is not even in the same ballpark as the Fecon. The Fecon spits out chunks. The FAE, I'm not gonna say you could plant grass, but I'm saying you could damn near plant grass in the material that head spits out. Like, it's that good, and that is not an exaggeration. We're doing a full review on that head. It is coming, but just spoiler alert, that head is effing impressive. So all that to say, I'm gonna pitch and I'm gonna push FAE. You get to play with an FAE mulching head. I'm all about land clearing. Like, it is a lot of fun, and so that you guys know, there's a decent chance we're gonna have more of that kind of footage coming to the channel. Matt Mother effing Totten actually went out with Rick 2 weeks ago and sold a tree job, and we're on the verge of getting another tree job, so we might actually start shifting a little bit more into the logging side for a bit, just with the way the market has been this year. So there's a good chance we're gonna have more of that footage on the channel, so stay tuned on that. But yeah, I'm a fan of the land clearing. It's a good time. Brandon, when are you gonna get Totten on here? That's a good question. I need to go hit him up. I'll tell you what's gonna help Brandon is all of you guys hitting Matt up. Go hit him on social media and start pestering him to get on the live stream, and he'll come over here. But yeah, I'll shoot another invite over. Let's see here. Daniel Matthewson, do you have a Facebook account I can message? Yes, I do. There should be a Facebook account or Instagram. Instagram is probably going to be a little easier, but yes, I have both Facebook and Instagram. And as of recently, I have a TikTok. You guys have finally badgered me enough that I have a TikTok account, so you should check that out as well. Do you know of any info on fire dozer operators? A friend works for the Forestry Service and is trying to get me on as a dozer operator after I finish school on the 20th. So if you go listen to one of the episodes of Sweat Grime, someone else will have to look it up. We actually interviewed a guy and that was in the forest firefighting service, and we talked specifically about that. What was a shock to me is while they do have their own official fire dozer operators, a lot of the guys that operate dozers and excavators out on the fire line are actually private contractors that they've kind of vetted to know what they're doing. And then you drop everything on the job and trailer your machine and take it out when you get the call. So there's multiple ways to get into it. If you're going to be an official fire dozer operator, you actually have to go to the fire academy. You have to become a true firefighter, and then you will be trained on that, but the seats are very limited. The other way to get into it is just work for a contractor, a private contractor that has been through the vetting process. You do have to go to the fire academy just to get your firefighting basics out of the way, but you're not going to be a true woodland firefighter. But it makes you safe while you're out there. And then that's how you would do it, through the private sector, if you will. Let's see. Landmark Darren just posted something on Instagram, but I'm second year in business and first year full time, and I'm booking work into July right now. Feels good and crazy at the same time. Also hiring. That's an awesome spot to be. The only advice I will give any of you guys that own your own company right now is just, it's okay to extend yourself a little bit to grow in this business, because it's so capital heavy. There's no getting around that. But what I will say is, don't over leverage yourself too far, just because over these next year, 2 years, there's a decent chance that we see some sort of a little downturn, maybe sliding into a bigger downturn. I don't have any economist backing for that. That is pure my speculation, but we've been cruising really hard now. We've got the Ukraine crisis going on. We've got fuel prices going through the roof. We've got the feds raising interest rates. We've got a lot of housing shortage going on. Like, everything's kind of teed up to me thinking that there might be something in the next couple of years. So I just would love to advise you guys, don't over leverage yourself. Don't get yourself into trouble financing 4 pieces of equipment, because by God, the money's rocking. Just grow in a healthy amount. But that being said, also, like, congratulations, Darren. That's an awesome position to be in, and I'm happy for you, man. That's really awesome. I want to hire at a union company as a scab and work for $7.25 an hour under the agreement they fire for union guys. That's not gonna go well for you, I don't think, Andrew. 2 strokes, heavy equipment. There you go. Jackson just answered that, because his dad is actually who hooked us up with Mark, who was the guy that we interviewed. Jackson's actually a really good resource for you on this one. Boy, you guys are cruising. Look at this. I love it. I love it. I gotta figure out where it went. Dang, you guys have been. Dang, I'm proud of you guys. Wow, look at you guys. Boom, 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 back and forth. Someone's out of, yeah, Dirty Dan, I'm the same way. If someone mentions a D11, I'm like, oh, where's the D11? I want to run it. In fact, that's my goal with this channel. I just want to run a D11. Then I'm gonna just if the channel ever disappears, fair warning, if you guys log in one day and all of a sudden diesel and iron has evaporated into thin air, I got to run a D11. I'm out. Peace. Just kidding, guys, just kidding. I'll film it and leave the footage up. Oh, that's so good. All right. Dirty damn. Brian and I want to operate a D11 in our new gold mining company. That's right. We are starting a gold mining company. No one knows when, no one knows exactly where, but apparently we're going to go spend a couple $1 million in equipment and start it up. Why not? Rex, most federal, state fire dozer jobs are hard to get into. You're better off trying to find a private contractor. Boom. Everyone is backing up exactly what I said. Beautiful. It makes it look like I know what I'm talking about. Thank you, guys. This is I mean, like, your responses are perfect. It's making me really look legitimate tonight. This is great. Shane, I've been driving past 2 D11s working next to my job site. They're doing all the ripping in the cut section, I'm assuming is what that should have said, to prep for my next dig. Hope they went deep enough. Dude, those D11s are such monsters. I want it so bad. I want it so bad. Ryan, the top of my cousin's Gamar loader has a weird bucket on it. The top of the bucket is at an angle, so it's a guess as to, yeah, that's the problem. It's a total guess as to what your pitch is going into the pile. You don't know whether you're digging or not. Andrew, so do you like pilot controls or MOT? I don't know what MOT is. Really depend on the situation. So I'm a fan of in excavators, I really like pilot controls. I really like having that feedback in my hands. When it comes to dozer, I've gotten to actually where I prefer the EH controls, just because those pilot controls, those are the ones we're all familiar with. The old Cat series, the G series dozer. Let's try that again. The old Cat G series dozers. You get in those and you're really like, hey. So Wayne actually has, down at Built Right, who I was working with last week, actually has an old D3G, which I forgot how good those machines push. Those are awesome little machines. But that being said, I don't know if you noticed, but my forearm and my bicep are a little stronger this week, and it's because you're freaking cranking on that handle because you're physically operating a valve, and especially with the blade angle, because on those 3 series you twisted, and good lord, it's rough on your wrist. So I actually have gotten to where I prefer the EH controls on a dozer, and 90% of the dozer is ass level anyway, so you don't really miss the feedback in your hands like you do on some of the other equipment. I still, on a loader, I still prefer having pilot controls because of the feedback, but I've gotten to where I'm kind of impartial either way because I can run it just by the seat of my pants. So Dirty Dan, no kidding. You can't see anything on the front bucket. Yep, exactly. Bum bum bum. This is true. Landmark, hell yeah. FAE, absolutely, Darren. FAE. Jonathan, so the FAE is pretty good. Thing sounds impressive. Yes, the FAE. So Rick and I both looked at the FAE. This is full disclosure. I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. When we were at the trade show where we hooked up with FAE, there were about 3 different manufacturers of mulching heads at that show, and out of all of the manufacturers, the FAE head was the one that that both Rick and I were kind of like, yeah, it looks like a nice head, but it looks really fancy. Like they're going for the bling factor, because I don't know if you guys have seen it on social media. It's silver, it's painted up. I mean, it's a really sharp looking head. Let me see if I can find a picture super quick that's not going to be an awkward amount of time for me to scroll for. But the FAE head is painted up like really sharp, but it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, it's painted up really nice, but you know, performance, yeah, there you go. So this is the FAE head if you're not familiar with it. Like, it is a really, really sharp looking head. Both of us were like, yeah, whatever, you know, take it or leave it. It wasn't until we got this sucker out on the job, and it was within the first 15 minutes. Like, that's how quick it showed itself. Within the first 15 minutes, we were like, oh, like, this is legit. Several times. So there's 2 things that the FAE's got going for it. The first is it is significantly quieter than the other heads. I haven't tried all of the other heads. Let me just stick to what I know. It's significantly quieter than the Fecon head. So on more than one occasion, I backed off of a tree thinking that my drum had slowed down to the point that it was not carrying momentum and I needed to let it spool back up, only to figure out, oh no, she's still cranking and I need to keep rocking. The second thing is they have a new sonic, I can't remember exactly what they call it, but it's basically a sonic motor. And the traditional mulcher head motors, it's a two-stage transmission, if you will. It's not an official transmission, but it's got two stages on it. And so what happens is once your RPMs drop to a certain point, it kind of downshifts the head to give it more torque so that you can kind of power through whatever you're going through. With this sonic motor, they described it to us more like a rheostat, where the head itself is constantly monitoring the RPM and the pressure, and it is constantly adjusting. You know, I'm assuming it's the swash plate in the motor, but I'm not really sure. I don't know enough about this stuff to tell you what it's adjusting, but it's doing that constantly on the fly, so you're actually able to maintain RPM. Like I said, easily 50% more productive than the Fecon head. It's nuts how well this FAE head works. It's incredible. We're thrilled to death with the FAE head. And by the way, we're running carbides on both the Fecon and the FAE, so it's not even like you can say, oh, well, the FAE has chipper knives and that's why it's doing so much better. Nope. Same set of bits. It's got the same set, or tools, I should say. It's got the same set of tools. They're both running the carbides. This thing is just incredible. It's a very, very well engineered piece of equipment. By the way, working on it, way easier. If you have something go down in that head, there is so much room to work on versus the Fecon head. You're in at funky angles. You've only got these two little panels to work through. The way the lines are routed, I'm getting too far down the review side. You need to wait for the review video because it's coming. But I'm gonna, again, spoiler alert, it's gonna be a sparkling review. We're thrilled with this head. AP, wonder if they'll give you any Hitachi merchandise. You know what? At the end of the day, I'm an operator. I'm not gonna turn down free swag. I'm all about it. Mute Chander. I was gonna call you Chandler, but it's Chander. What's happening? And stay tuned on logging, because there's a decent chance here in the next month or two we're gonna have some logging footage coming for sure. You got him. Okay, so Brandon is on getting Totten, so we'll get Totten in here. Oh, dang it, I lost my spot in the comments again. Dang it, dang it, dang it. All right, here we go. Andrew, I saw a skid steer the other day with a mulching head. It had a big hose looking thing running up to the top of the cab. What is that? Some sort of air filtration. So if it was a mulching head and it had that big hose, more than likely that is a hydraulic cooler, because those Fecon or those mulching heads run so much flow that a lot of the machines don't actually have the ability to keep up with the heat dissipation with their stock cooling stack. And so what they'll do is they'll basically mount an oil cooler on the cab of the machine on the top, and then they'll run the hydraulic oil through that cooler, and that's able to keep up. Mute, could I message you on Instagram and talk to you about becoming an operator? 100%. I talk to guys all the time about it. Feel free to shoot me a message. I'd love to chat. Brandon called it. I said yes. Give that man $1. All right, let's see here. Brian, I was holding out hope that you wouldn't sell yourself out and get a TikTok. Ryan, I'm ashamed. There is a part of me that is ashamed, but I will say this. There is a part of me that's a little excited because I have a lot of like old school music that I love. And I'm sorry, but all of your this new generation of music is absolute garbage. And so I now have the ability to put really good music, quality music, behind my TikTok videos. So you're not just gonna get your run-of-the-mill music on my TikTok. You're gonna get all the shit that I like to listen to. And if you don't like it, you can kiss my ass. I'm sorry, but you can kiss my ass. But I'm gonna share my good music. So anyway. Let's see here. Shane, I know a guy that did the fire thing with his small CO, would lose up 4 rigs to the fire. Oh, so a guy lost 4 machines in a fire. That sucks. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, Jackson, your link isn't coming through. For whatever reason, it's not coming through. Links don't work in chat. Oh, well, there you go. You might private message him, or yeah, something like that. Let's hear Freightliner Business Class M2 Rigids Heavy Trucks. Congratulations. I am a Max. What in the... All right, congratulations, Brandon. I am Max Sterling Castillo Flores with my Princess Elena de Avalor, with Francisco Flores and Chancellor Esteban working from Canada. My God, that was quite a bit. That was quite a mouthful, but Freightliner Business. Max Sterling Castillo Flores, welcome to the chat. Thank you for that. I have no idea what that was other than... Was that an advertisement or was that like a legit? I'm so confused because Princess Elena, that's the other part. I think I'm fairly confident my kids watch that cartoon. Isn't that a cartoon, or am I lost here? I don't know. I don't mean to offend you, but that was quite a mouthful. But I am happy that you're in the chat. Thank you for joining us this evening. Max Sterling Castillo Flores. Anyway, let's see here. Would it be a good idea to go from a non-union state to a union one? I live in a southern state, so would it be a good idea? Let me put it this way, Mute. I started my career in Texas making $13 or $15 an hour driving an off-road haul truck, and I was going to max out as a blade operator at like $22 or $24 an hour. And now I'm in Michigan. And right off the bat, as soon as I joined a union company, I was making about 36 to 38 an hour plus my benefits package. So I was realistically making like 43 to 45 an hour. So yes, if you have the opportunity to move to a union state, do it. The pay is significantly better. Okay. If you don't have a family, what are we talking about? I don't know. What's your... Okay, back and forth. That white kid, there you go. Andrew, that fire stuff seems hard to get into. I'm just gonna set my house on fire and rip it apart with a long reach while it burns. There you go, and then you can technically say you have fire experience. I see it only as a win. Let us know how that works out for you, Andrew. EH, not pilots, Mike. Okay, EFix, I don't even remember where you commented on that, but I think we all got the gist of what you were saying, maybe. Yeah, it's so far back now. I'm sorry. I don't even know. All right. Now, where was that comment? Dirty Dan, starting a new job here for a small coal company here at home, wanting to see if I can talk to the new boss. Oh, Dirty Dan. My God, I'm sorry, Dan. This is how slow I am. I just put it together that you're the Dan that just came and saw me. So Dirty Dan, guys, literally just came out and saw me. If you guys follow me on social media, you will see Dirty Dan the man there running the WhoDig. He actually came, we had breakfast together, and then he got, I don't know, what would you say, Dan? You were on that machine for an hour or so? Maybe 45 minutes of just F around time. So now that I've gotten over my word that I'm not supposed to say anymore, being an idiot, Dirty Dan, it's good to see you in the chat here. And yes, Dan is trying to hook me up with a D11 or a D10, whatever it is. I just want to drive a house. That's my goal in life. I want to drive a house. So let's see here. I enjoy succulent pilot controls. Rex, that was a fantastic reference to my sound effect from Sweat and Grime. Thank you, sir. If you guys don't know what sound effect he is referencing, you should go listen to Sweat and Grime on any major podcasting platform, including Amazon, Google, Apple, Spotify, Pocket Casts, and more. Whew. Did you like that? Was that like a smooth advertisement? I feel like I nailed that one almost, except I lost myself halfway through it. But anyway. All right, Mute. Still in school, looking for the future. Why are we hating so hard on Fecon right now? It's not necessarily hate on Fecon. I will say the Fecon head that we had was an absolute, we still own it. It's an absolute tank. We've had no real problems with that head. It has been a really, really good head. But that being said, it's one of those things where until you've tried something else, you don't have any basis of comparison. So we were always just like, yeah, Fecon does a great job. It's a really great head. And then we got into the FAE head, and it was like, oh, okay. And the more we started kind of picking apart the design and how it's put together and engineered and what it's capable of, the more we were like, okay, so the Fecon heads, it gets the job done. It's a decent head, don't get me wrong, it's a decent head, but FAE blows it out of the water, man. It's unreal. Oh, boom. Jackson, what's your name? Okay, so Jackson and Two Strokes. Boy, you guys are really eating up the chat here with your back and forth. We have Jason Sugar J. Did I pronounce that, or is it pronounced a little different? When it comes to plowing, do you have fun plowing snow? I love plowing snow. I do not love plowing snow. As Jonathan is sarcastically saying down in the comments, I effing hate plowing snow. It is the bane of my existence. I am from Texas. I moved to the north as a result of marrying a beautiful wife. I am not up here because I want to be in the cold, nor do I want to spend 30 hours straight in the cold shoving piles of this white garbage that drops from the sky. This is not my idea of a fun time. I hate it. I hate it. So that is my true feelings. I hope I didn't mask them enough. Those are my true feelings on pushing snow. I hate it. It's terrible. That being said, I will most likely do it again in the future for this channel because everyone loves a snowplow video. Even though you MFers, I went and did all of that work plowing that snow to get you guys the footage, and it was one of my lower performing videos. It's like, really? Really, guys? I go do that and you guys don't even effing watch it, for God's sakes. Gah. Anyway, not that I was butthurt over it or anything. Anyway. All right, Darren. Have to jump in and out, but what you said about being careful with possible downturns is right. I also have a consulting business, so that helps even out some risks. Oh, well, there you go, Darren. You got your bases covered there, brother. AP, you worked out JCB is good yet? Oh, it's funny you ask, AP. I actually thought about you the other day, believe it or not. So I recently have started talking with one of our local dealerships that is the JCB dealer, and I'm not going to name any names whatsoever, but I was talking to a certain someone who may work in a certain part of the dealership that involves wrenches and sockets. And Mr. Wrench and Socket, I asked him his true opinion. I said, okay, look, I have my own opinion of JCB as a mechanic. Oh, I'm sorry. As someone who may or may not hold sockets and wrenches from time to time. What is your true opinion on JCB? And his opinion was, they're made cheaply. I know that's horrendously offensive to you, AP, and I do apologize, but those are not my words. Those are from a certain someone who may or may not hold wrenches at a location that may or may not dabble in the JCB equipment. So I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not opposed to them sending, if JCB would like to send me some equipment, I am not opposed to doing a true, this is where I will say I am honest, I will give it a true unbiased review. I will take it out and I will run it like any other piece of equipment, and I will judge it like any other piece of equipment. And if it does a great job, I will eat my words and I will say that it does a fine job. But until that happens, we all know my opinion on JCB. Anyways, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Ryan, been listening to Sweat and Grime on Spotify. Thank you for listening. We've got some really, really good episodes coming on. Strap in. We got some really, the one with Doc Man is probably one of our best episodes, and that's dropping on Tuesday of this week. It really good. So Brandon, absolutely, that is my favorite sound effect by far. I sit here the entire time with the iPad with my finger just hovering over the get your hands off my penis sound effect, and I'm like, oh, just give me the opportunity, and boom, there it is. So yes, I love it that you guys are referencing the sound effects. That is my favorite part of the podcast. I could sit here and be totally silent, just popping sound effects, and I would be so happy. I love my sound effects. Let's see here. AP, don't get us started on JCB. Junk coming from Britain. That's right. Brandon, edited Brian isn't as cool as swearing Brian. You know, we have to clean it up for the children, Brandon. It's all about the children. Let's see here. I invited Kate to the stream, but she can't make it tonight. Yeah, no sweat. She's pretty busy because she's a superintendent or a foreman at our company or project manager. Now I can't remember and I feel like a jerk. Oh well. Ernie, what's going on? Good to see ya. Jason, started watching your videos a few weeks ago. Really find them helpful. Thanks for your service. Hey, I'm here to help. This whole thing, all of it, like the podcast, the live stream, the videos, it's all geared towards helping you guys getting information in your hands. So honestly, I appreciate you guys watching. Everything that's happening right now is 100% because of you guys. Because if you guys weren't watching me, I would be homeless right now. That's kind of where we're at. So I appreciate it. Let's see here. Doom. Lever Monkey, Shane. I put your snow video on and walked away till it was over, then smashed like and moved on to my flight sim. You know, Shane, I realized that was intended to be nice, but I don't even know how to take that. Like I put your video on, but it was so ungodly boring I had to walk away from it. And then as soon as it was over, I went to doing something that was way more what I wanted to do. But god damn it, I do appreciate the sentiment, Shane. Jackson, I did not watch the draft. I think I've mentioned it on here before. I'm not a huge sports guy. Never have been. I will watch them on occasion, but it's not something that I sit down and really invest a bunch of time in. So no, I didn't watch the draft. Ryan, I watched the snowplow video and just laughed at Brian's misery the whole time. That's it. You captured it. Yes. Des Gods, I'm coming up for a promotion. Any tips on how to move a cat backhoe a little smoother or smother, depending on, well, if you want to smother people, I can give you tips on that too. I'm used to running cat excavators. They don't run as smooth. So the biggest thing is it's all in your hands. I would highly advise you. It is a common misconception in the industry that if you want to run smoother, you throttle down. Well, no, what that does is it totally robs you of all your hydraulic power and you're actually jerkier. Keep your throttle high. All of your smoothness is right here in your hands. So you're used to making big, fast movements with your sticks because you're used to the heavy weight of an excavator. That weight isn't there on a backhoe, which is why you're really jerky and really fast. And so what I would encourage you to do, first of all, if you're gripping the sticks like this, release your grip. Grip them with your fingertips. Try to hold the top of the sticks for two reasons. One, it's going to give you that finesse and fine control. Secondly, you actually have, if you think about it, if this is my stick that I'm supposed to be running, if I'm gripping it down here and the basis for all of my motion, you know, is kind of right down here at my pinky, that doesn't give me a lot of motion to be finessing with. Versus if I'm gripping up here, I can move my hand a relatively tiny amount and look at how little the stick is moving down here. Versus if I'm moving the same thing, you know, all over here, you have a lot more precision and finesse if you're using the top of the stick. And what that does is it allows you to get a lot smoother movements. It's gonna feel super weird at first. I transitioned to using kind of more of the top of the sticks 4 or 5 years ago, and for the first probably 2 days it was really weird. It felt like I didn't have good grip and I was going to lose control. But what you find is first of all, when you let go of the stick and start using your fingertips, you don't have the death grip, and that death grip robs you of a lot of your finesse because you're using wrist muscles And your wrist muscles, yeah, you can finesse a bit, but you've only got so much finesse there versus your fingertips. When I'm starting to use my fingertips to move this thing around, I have a ton of really, really precise control of my fingertips. So that would be my biggest piece of advice, is use your fingertips. Get in the habit of using fingertips. You will be a far, far better operator when you transition to fingertips because you can be much more precise. Brandon Jackson, Brian doesn't do football or have cable. Yes, there you go. I don't know how Brandon doesn't know that I don't know how Brandon knows that I don't have cable. It's a little worrisome. I feel like Brandon might be sitting in his car in my driveway across the street with the lights off, kind of looking in with those night vision goggles, taking notes, with a python around his neck, naturally, but oh, let's see here. Mute whenever. The beauty of Instagram is I can respond whenever is convenient. So I would say message me whenever you feel like, man, and I will shoot you a message back at my convenience. I'm pretty good about getting back within a day or so. Rex, I just saw that you got to take off. Hey, good to see you. I hope you haven't left yet. Thanks for showing up to the live stream. We'll see you next week. AP, probably built cheap in the American branches because they never got the counterweights stoved in after 10 minutes of I love it. AP fires back with you dumb Americans. It's beautiful. That's probably true, AP. We are ridiculously rough. We are the cowboys of equipment. And that is one thing that this WhoDig is showing me is I look at so many things in the cab and I'm just like, Americans, they're just gonna have to change their ways. We're gonna have to learn to be better. So that is true. That is true. Let's see here. Jonathan is firing off. Yeah, I love my sound effects, guys. I do. That is my favorite part of doing the podcast, is the sound effects. Which, by the way, if you guys have additional sound effects that you think would be hysterical, feel free to shoot them my way. And if they work with the show, I'm not going to guarantee you I'm going to put them on, but if they work with the show, 100%, I'm always looking for additional sound effects. So, I have not seen the new Batman yet, Jackson. I have heard it's good. It is on my to-watch list. But I have a wife that does not enjoy those sorts of movies, so I kind of have to wait until I'm in a situation where my wife isn't around. Like in Ohio, I got caught up on a lot of stuff. I watched Venom, I watched Suicide Squad, and there was one other one that I was watching that I can't ever watch those. My wife hates those kind of movies, so that's my catch-up time. Ryan, Shane, that snowplow video reminded me of the video you made where that bucket kept flipping over backwards. Yeah, exactly. You have to laugh at someone else's misery in those. Iran's heavy duty life. Brian, I must say thank you. Your videos are so informative, and I must say I learn a lot. Keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully we work side by side one day. First of all, thanks for watching. I genuinely appreciate it. Because like I was just saying, you guys make the channel. And then secondly, I love working alongside you guys. If there's ever an opportunity, so here's the down low. I think I've talked about it before. Here's the down low on how to get me on your job site. If I have to fly, I ask that you cover my plane ticket and you cover my hotel stay, and then I work for a flat $30 an hour. I don't charge overtime. I don't charge benefits or any of that stuff. It's literally a flat $30 an hour. If it's something I can drive to, I just ask that you cover my hotel stay and $30 an hour. And if you can get me on site, I will come out. You guys, as you have seen from all of the videos, I do legitimately work. I film while we're working. I generally will take 10 or 15 minutes of time throughout the day to adjust cameras and stuff, switch out batteries, get drone shots, stuff like that. But it's, small little snips throughout the day. We legit work. So I love traveling around and working with contractors. So if there's any way that I can make it out on one of your job sites, 100% I would love to do that. I love traveling. So let me know. And I love working with you guys outside of just the travel aspect. I love working with you guys. One of the reasons I love the trade so much, there's no better way to get to know someone than working your ass off with them for a week and then going out to dinner and talking about what you accomplished together as a team. Like it's a true bonding experience. So all that to say, I hope we get to work together someday too. I genuinely do. I really mean that. If you want to smother people, I can give you tips on that too. That's it, man. Jonathan, that's on the OnlyFans page, by the way. If you want to subscribe to the OnlyFans content, I do give smother tips, so maybe it's worth paying for. Nicholas Massey, do you have any tips on a scraper hand on how to regrade stakes a little better? I'm doing housing properties and only 20 years old. So grade stakes, generally you're only going to be concerned with cut and fill stakes, and depending on your company, generally cut stakes are flagged red and fill stakes are going to be flagged blue, and those are pretty straightforward because they're going to have a giant F and then they're going to have a number on them, and so that's kind of how you judge where you need to cut from. So if it's a cut, so it's going to say C, and let's call it a 1 foot cut just for round numbers. It's going to say C 1.0. That is from the existing grade of that stake, you need to cut down 1 foot, and it is just a rough, like you're rough feeling it. You don't have any GPS, you don't have any marking indicators. You're looking over there and you're going, okay, that's roughly a foot. When you're a scraper hand, if you're not familiar, if this is your stake, you're not going to go scrape right by that stake. You're going to swing out and leave an island around that stake that's, I don't know, call it 2 foot away from the stake on either side to be safe, especially as a rookie scraper hand. Leave yourself some space because those stakes need to stay in place until everything is balanced, and then they'll take out the stakes. If it's a fill stake, generally it's going to have an F, let's call it 2 feet, so it's going to have F 2.0, and a lot of times on a fill stake, you will have, we'll just use the back of my paper here. So you'll have, no, that's, well, yeah, we're going to do it. Nope, it's not going to work. I got to use a new sheet because you're going to see through it, and it's going to be weird, it's going to be hard to read. My goodness. All right, so on a fill stake, all right, so this is an example of what a fill stake might look like. So, sorry, we'll wait for the little email thing to tick away here. So you've got F 2.0, which means fill 2 feet. And then you'll have this little thing here. That line with a caret, that is the measuring point of where you need to fill from. So it's going to be 2 feet. Or no, I take that back. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm telling you wrong, and I apologize. It's now, in my defense, it's been a long time since I've been in this situation. So that's going to be at the top of your stake. So it's going to be fill 2 feet. But if you can imagine, like, this is a full-on stake. Like, the stake is going to be about 2.5, 3 foot tall. And so a lot of times that line right there is the line that you're going to fill up to. And so that gives you an indication of where grade is. Now, if this were a fill 5, you wouldn't have that mark on it. It would just have a fill 5.0, and you just need to know, again, moving around the stake, leave yourself an area around the stake that from that existing grade, you got to go 5 feet up. Outside of that, it's just a lot of like eyeballing. I mean, when you're running a scraper, that is a rough machine. That's a rough grading machine. No one's expecting you, especially in a land balance situation, no one's expecting you to get within 1/10 of finish grade. That's why you have a dozer generally chasing you, or a grader, depending on your situation. You're going to have equipment chasing you that's actually going to dial in that grade. And when it's finally all balanced, that's when you blow out your stakes. So I hope that helps you. Where do we go? Ryan, I'm all caught up on Sweat and Grime, but I think I'm going to re-listen to him because I enjoy listening. I enjoy listening to him too. Like, this is where I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit, but I listen to him when I'm in the car, because when we're recording, It's shocking how much of the conversation we don't even catch on because we're busy thinking about our next question or our next joke or where we're going to go. And so you don't get to enjoy the conversation. And so a lot of times we listen, I know all three of us listen back to our own episodes and we're like, that was a funny episode. I didn't realize it at the time. So I'm not going to judge you at all, Ryan, for listening. Brian was really good at holding a stick. I bet he makes great content on fans only. You have no idea, Brandon. It's all about working the top, if you will, the tip. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. By the way, 10 minutes, guys. Man, it's flying by. What are your thoughts on heavy equipment simulators? Ernie, that's a great question. Then I'm going to take a drink of this scotch, and then I'm going to answer that for you. Ooh, delicious. That is a great question. So traditionally, I have been 100% against simulators. I have thought they were an absolute waste of money. They're never going to come anywhere close to what it's like being on the job site. That was traditionally my view. I actually, for The Dirt, the show that I host on YouTube for Rand O'Reilly, I actually just interviewed a company, OE Construction, out of Colorado. They use simulators in a very, very different way that I am 100% on board with. So instead of using the simulators to try to get someone up to par to where they can get on a job site and go to town in an excavator like they've been running it, you'll never do that. But if you think about one of the hardest parts of jumping in an excavator for the first time, one of the biggest things is just getting the muscle memory of how you need to move the joysticks to make the machine move the way you want to. What better way to do that than in a simulator? You're not burning diesel fuel, you're not holding up trucks, you're not slowing production. Throw them on the simulator and get their hands right. That's a great use of that simulator. Graders. No one wants to put a grader down. That's generally on a job site. There's one, maybe two graders. Again, production machines, they're always doing finish grade. It's not something that you can, oops, I screwed up, and you take out half a curb bank. Like, you have to know what you're doing in a grader. There's no way to learn a grader because no one wants to put that machine down and train someone. Versus the simulator, again, you get your hand movements where they need to be. You get the concept of, if I bump this side of my blade up, this side of the blade's gonna lower down and I need to compensate for it. All of that can be learned in a simulator. And yeah, I'm not gonna go out tomorrow after spending 3 weeks in a simulator and go run a motor grader like I've been doing it all day long or my whole career. But that just saved me how much time as a company and how much money as a company in having that operator learn all of those movements and those relationships and dynamics on the job. So I've actually totally 180'd on simulators now to the point where I would actually really consider more private contractors using simulators as a way to initially train employees who are either brand new. Oh, the other way that they use them too is they weed out the armchair operators, which I thought was a genius idea. So we're all familiar with guys in this industry. Oh, hell yeah, I can finish grading a dozer. I'm the best finished dozer operator my old company ever had. I know exactly how to finish grade. And those guys are always the ones who cannot hold grade to save their life. They've got an easy way to weed those guys out. All right, hop in our simulator here. We'll give you 20 minutes or so to get you, because everyone recognizes that simulators don't handle like a real machine in the field. So take 20 to 30 minutes to get familiar with the simulator, and then we'll come in and we'll run you through a scenario and see how well you do. Now it's, you gotta perform or they know you're full of shit. What a great use of simulators. Yeah, a simulator is going to cost you, a good simulator, like one of the cat ones with the interactive, console that's moving all over. It's going to set you back $100 grand. But if you just saved hiring someone, onboarding them, paying all of the fees associated with onboarding a new employee to turn around and fire them 2 weeks later because they actually don't know what they're doing, how much money did that just save you? Because you didn't have to do that. Instead, you threw them on the simulator and you went, yeah, you don't know what you're doing. You're out. Or likewise, you got the new guy that's starting to learn the excavator, but instead of having a slow production on a job or potentially damage one of your pieces of equipment or one of your trucks, instead you throw them on the simulator. How much money did that save you? The crazy thing, the statistics she threw out, is they used to regularly have about $60,000 to $80,000 worth of equipment damage every year. As soon as they started using the simulators to train their employees on pieces of equipment they didn't know, their bill for equipment damage has dropped to, I believe she said, less than 10 grand a year. I'm sorry, that just in itself, within 2 years, you've more than paid for that simulator. So great question, Ernie. I have totally 180'd. I am all about equipment simulators now in the right scenario for the right use. So Ryan, I prefer having my fingers on the top of the sticks, but with John Deere skid steer, I find I have to grip it because they're stiff and it doesn't feel natural to grab the joystick from the top. I do want to quote that back because this is not OnlyFans content. This is Ryan's own words. I find I have to grip it just because they're stiff and it doesn't feel natural to grab it from the top. Ryan, throw your OnlyFans link down in the comments. Oh, Jackson, Timber Vixen. Oh, Jackson. You know what? Subscribe to Timber Vixen. I won't judge you, but fair warning, we're probably not going to have her on the podcast because I cannot honestly promote someone putting out that content over all of these females who are using their actual skills and to promote the trades. So dim titties, that's not going to get you a spot on the podcast. So all right, who cares what movies your wife doesn't like? She will like the Batman. You know, Jackson, I don't know. I can try, but I think she's gonna roll her eyes at me if I tell her that. Andrew, let me come do some forestry work with you, big dog. I only want 25 and a can of dip. You know, Andrew, where are you from, Andrew? I don't even remember where you're from. Touch base with me. If you legitimately want to come out, touch base with me. We might be able to work something out. We'll see. Oh, Jason, where are you coming from if that is the scenario? I don't know what you're referring to, Jason. I don't know if that was in response to something I said or someone else. Ryan, I should see if I can get you on the project I've got coming up this week. I don't know if I'm getting sent to it or not, but we're finding and digging up a 300-foot... Oh, digging and finding 300 foot of water main that doesn't have a tracer wire. Oh, that ought to be exciting. That ought to be a good time. Once you find it, once you initially find it, it's easy. Game over at that point. It's an hour and a half drive one way. Oof, hopefully this way coming closer. My God. Oh, you guys have been rocking on the comments again. Look at you. By the way, someone draw me a line now, because by the time I make it all the way down here, it's going to be time. So yeah. Andrew, terrible advice. Don't knock down all the stakes. That's a great way to get fired or getting yelled at. Stakes are like gold. Exactly, Shane. Merrick, as someone who has had Brian on our job site, it is worth every penny spent to have him here. The meals we had with him too after work were a blast. He has a lot of knowledge he will leave you with. Merrick, I appreciate that. Genuinely, I do. You and Wayne are... Yeah, I'll just outright say it. You guys are my favorite contractors to come and work with. I genuinely like working with you guys. So that's why you get that's why you get legit work out of me. Everybody else, I just F off all day. But you guys get the real work. So Brandon, sweet Jesus, my man. Medium well on a steak. I'm ashamed, Brandon. I'm ashamed. It's medium rare. And medium rare even sometimes is pushing it. My goodness, man. Barbecue sauce and A1. Jackson and Brandon, I'm putting you in the steak timeout corner. That's ridiculous. This is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. Jonathan, it was good to see you, man. I hope you have a good night. Brandon might get to see Slipknot, which that's cool. I have never seen them in person. I've never seen Dragon Force. We're going back and forth about those. Mute, where do operators get to operate the big equipment like D10s, 395, or the very large off-road dump trucks? You have to, depending on what part of the country you're in, is part of it. So Michigan's a prime example. We have a lot of swampy areas. We have a lot of soft soils. So you're pretty much never going to see anything over probably a D9 up here because it's just too heavy and they get bogged in our soft soils. Similarly, you're not going to see the huge mining trucks or anything like that. D11s are totally out of the question. So it depends on what part of the country you're in. If you're in a part of the country that uses the bigger machines on civil jobs, you're going to have to get in with a big civil contractor. Down in Texas, I was in with Ranger Excavating. We were operating 385 cat excavators, D11 dozers. We were running, we had a 988 loader. So you can get into the big stuff on the civil side. You just have to find the right companies. The other way you're going to get into those is in quarry and mining applications. That's where you're going to run a lot of the really big iron. When you're talking excavators tend to be different than dozers and loaders because excavators, we traditionally think about them as the bigger the excavator, the more bucket capacity for hogging material. In the excavator world, that's not always the case because the other thing that a bigger excavator gets you is significantly more reach. And so you'll see a lot of those bigger excavators on underground crews that do sanitary work because a lot of times sanitary can get pretty deep. And so you need the reach of a 385 or a 395 excavator. It's not necessarily the bucket capacity. So the common configuration you'll see on a pipe crew is you will see a large excavator, not with a true long stick, not the ultra long stick, but you have. So let me back up. In excavators, on the standard excavator, before you go down the specialty road of a long reach, a true long reach, you have a mass excavation setup, and then you have a kind of normal long stick setup. The mass excavation setup, you actually have a shorter stick on that machine, which gives you not as much reach, but then you can couple it to a substantially larger bucket, and that's why they call it the mass excavating configuration. It's made to hog material. The other setup you have is a long stick setup, which has a longer stick because you're going for reach, not for capacity, and then it has a smaller bucket on the end. And that way you can reach 25 feet deep with one of those machines with no problem because you've got that huge machine. So that's, excavators don't really follow the rest of the equipment when it comes to scaling up and getting big, if that makes sense. So yes, Brandon, someone did kill someone in the simulator. They backed over someone in a backhoe. Yeah, so another great training experience. And again, the operator's response was, well, why didn't he see me and move out of the way? Guess what, buddy? That's the real world in excavating. No one pays attention, and you have to pay attention as the operator. Shane answered it. Yep, operator will have a guy with, and that's the other thing too, especially when you get into the really, really big iron, it's going to be experienced operators. Those are not starting positions. So Jackson, the equipment she can operate is not the equipment that we're generally interested in. That would be more OnlyFans content. Dirty Dan, that's fans only. And that is why, to this day, Rick is so confused as to what the big deal is about fans only. Every time he goes to fans only, when he's in the mood, you know, all he sees is big wind farms and pedestal fans and ceiling fans, and he's still trying to figure out how fans only is all the rage right now. So that being said, I think we're out. I think this is where the line is, guys. Although Dirty Dan just said Calcite up in northern Michigan has D11s. That's news to me. But anyway, guys, it's time. Just as soon as Brandline Gaming shows up, we're cutting her off. I'm sorry, Brandline, but you made it in too late this evening. So back her up. Watch from the beginning. We got lots of content for you. But thank you guys for showing up, as always, with the live stream. I appreciate you guys. We're going to go have another fun week with the WhoDig. We're going to start getting into some FAE material here again pretty quick. Once the WhoDig leaves site, we should have some good stuff. So that being said, you guys have a great evening, and we'll catch you guys next week on the live stream.